Welcome back to Business and Politics. We're talking to former Secretary William DAR of the DA. Sir, what's your outlook for the sector? I know we have, as you mentioned earlier, El Nino coming up at the end of the year, lasting probably through the first quarter of next year. We still have, the war in Ukraine that is causing a lot of issues. But what's your assessment and forecast for the end of the year and early next year?
Now, with what is happening in rice today, and with the presence of a leader in the Department of Agriculture, who is the President of the Republic, I think this is the time really to have a good surgical approach to reinventing Philippine agriculture, to rejuvenating Philippine agriculture, so that the very long-term goals natin to say in rice have self-sufficiency, lahat na yan, we have to harness everything possible towards that direction. Okay, the same is true for other crops. We need to go for diversification. We need to have higher budget allocation. Alam mo ba, Kling, ang high-value crops, which is the low-hanging fruit I was mentioning, only has about 2 billion peso budget. While the rice, of course, being a political commodity, has more than, that's about 40 billion pesos budget. So the budget of Department of Agriculture is rice-centric. Why not? But let's see to it also that the budget for other commodity industries like high-value agriculture, fisheries, and aquatic resources, livestock for one, ay dapat significant po ang pag-angat ng budget. And what's our level of budget today compared to ASEAN member economies? The annual budget allocation for agriculture is only about 1.6 to 1.8% of national budget. Other countries now are nasa 3% to 6% na. So we need to catch up. We are far behind. If we want really, now is the chance for President Marcos, being the leader in the department, to say, okay, by this time we should be at this level. And of course, you reform also the bureaucracy there in the department. Strengthen the bureaucracy so that they have to have the absorptive capacity to implement properly additional budget for these various commodity industries. We need a strong leader. We need, of course, many of the people there are dedicated. They need just to elevate their game. They need to up their game. Because, the challenge is there for agriculture to still become the backbone of this country. So, ganun po, let's rejuvenate Philippine agriculture and seeing to it that the right budget should be there. Long-term, hindi lang short-term. Of course, we need to look at short-term. But even this time around, we need to plan the long-term investments. As I was saying, those public goods that must be there should be the target of the investments for Philippine agriculture. I was mentioning about, again, how can you have economies of scale? So the supporting mechanism, how can you have the right level of infrastructure in terms of irrigation, farm-to-market roads, post-harvest facilities, rainwater catchments, the dams. Ngayon na, itama na natin ngayon lahat. Para sa ganun ay, we are creating and ensuring the food requirements of our country in the future, given global headwinds. Global headwinds will always be there from here and there. So anticipate this. We need to have this anticipatory thinking and seeing to it that we start the day one, from day one, investments along this long-term track.
Yeah. Sir, I'll put you on the spot a bit. As you said correctly, that the president, by taking on the DA portfolio, has elevated the profile of the department. But some critics are also saying that he has other important things to do, which are also bearing fruit now. His foreign trips are attracting a lot of attention for the Philippines, and as a result of that and other things, they're saying that maybe there should be a full-time agriculture secretary. You've been in that position before. What is do you have a take on it? Which is a better approach?
Klink, I was in favor initially then that the president continue, to be the
Secretary
Secretary of Agriculture because of the things that I mentioned.
Yes.
That Philippine agriculture has been neglected,
Yes.
underinvested,
Yes.
and there is little private sector engagement today in Philippine agriculture.
Yes.
So we want him to succeed, of course, always.
Yes, of course.
And this is the time for him to really restructure the whole thing, increase the budget to a very significant level, and reform the bureaucracy, and leave to a full-time Secretary of Agriculture. The President, we know he has many other concerns, not only for agriculture.
Sure.
His time is limited.
Sure.
So that what I'm saying here, after putting the foundation for growing and developing Philippine agriculture, then he has to have a trusted, loyal secretary of the Department of Agriculture.
Other government policies that the Marcos administration should be looking at. They have been talking about maybe the Land Use Act. There are a number of programs to help MSMEs. Are there other things that maybe deserve attention also that can benefit?
Mention have been made about Land Use Act.
Yeah.
Every administration wants that passed.
For
but
decades.
Never. If he wants to put a legacy, and this is one of them, let's have now a Land Use Act.
Okay.
Number two, the reforms that he wants to make in Philippine agriculture, this is the time to go to the Congress, both House and the Senate, to legislate. For example, itong economies of scale consideration for farm clustering and what are the support systems.
Yeah.
We need to strengthen also yung livestock group,
Yes,
contributing almost 18% of the GDP sa bansa natin. And many more. So one thing that is to be considered very important, di ba na-devolve na itong extension to the local governments under the local government code. So supposedly the LGUs are in the front seat in terms of their food security considerations. Every province, every city, every municipality. But sad to say, the orientation of many still of the LGUs are still dependent on the national
government.
Although, of course, I would say that there must be the delineation of responsibilities. Okay, the National Department of Agriculture would do what I call the steering role. Okay, steering, this is the direction. While the local government units must do the rowing role. So yung talagang you need to
on
use
the ground,
all the braso mo, lahat ng pagod, but with the national direction given by the Department of Agriculture. That interaction, that partnership has to elevate. Today, there's so much to be desired. Wow. So may nagsasabi na if you look at long-term food security, you need to bring back the extension agents to the Department of Agriculture. So that really, there you can pinpoint the responsibility to the Department of Agriculture when there is shortage or any deficiency for that matter.
You think it's fragmented right now? Or?
That's what I'm saying. It's so decentralized that the LGUs do not still give prime importance to ensuring food security even for their constituencies. Of course, fuera de los buenos,
Sure.
there are those LGUs that are doing their share.
Sure.
But many of the LGUs today are really not in that mode, not in that mindset that they are the leaders of food security.
So you mentioned clustering. The cooperatives have been there for a long time. How come they haven't been successful? Is it more of a lack of capability, or is it something else that's
cooperatives movement in the country is sorely lacking in terms of their, having to show successes. I was starting to analyze the whole situation when I was there second time around. One strategy that I was going to put in place is depending on the scale of the cooperative's operations, it would be good to have professional managers assigned. And this is where I see the big billionaire cooperatives today in the country.
Yes.
They have professional managers.
We have some successful ones.
Yes, there are successful stories in terms of now billionaire cooperatives, Soro, Nueva Segovia.
Some of them won awards in ASEAN.
Jakarta. So ganun po, professional management is key. Then elevate their game in terms of financial management, of savings even, investment even.
R&D.
Lahat po yun, R&D. So talagang, I'm not yet stopping in terms of going to build more cooperatives, but let's see to it that the needed components are now in place. There are even ideas, why not bring back the old Bureau of Cooperatives Development sa agriculture? Kasi more than ever, because of farm clustering and towards cooperatives development,
it needs to go hand in hand. Yeah.
Although, of course, they say there is the CDA, the Cooperative
Development Authority.
but there are other priorities also of CDA.
Yeah.
Ako, para wala nang masabi na neglected ang agriculture, bring or have a new Bureau of Agricultural Cooperatives Development.
So do you think mindset has to change among government?
Again,
I said the easiest solution is to import, right? But we forget that we have the...
I think the government has been balancing its act. Number one priority always, any government for that matter, is improving productivity or boosting productivity. Then whatever is the gap, then that's the time you look at ensuring food security by way of importation. So dapat naintindihan ng publiko yun.
Yeah.
Boosting local production is key, and that's why you need to apply science and technology. You need to have this new mechanization, lahat po na bagay na may pataas ang ani. Of course, capacity building, engaging the youth. Ang dami po gagawin para maitaas natin ang productivity. Again, emphasizing the importance of science and technology. Otherwise, we'll be left behind if we don't accelerate our research and development as well.
Sir, it's always a pleasure talking to you. As usual,
Thank you,
I learned so much. But before we go, would you like to leave our audience with a brief message?
Now, we are hoping this time around with President Marcos at the helm, as our President first and now as Secretary of Agriculture, this is the time really to see to it that the needed reforms would be in place and elevate the budgetary support as we are now seeing, but we need more. We need to have more budgets for the high-value agriculture, for livestock and fish, and including fisheries. Rice agriculture today is properly resourced, and so we need also to balance the budget to be given to the agriculture sector. So agribusiness is the way forward. That mindset has also to be, cascaded all down there with the farmers. They are agripreneurs. That's the bottom line. We need to have that mindset of being an agripreneur.
Sir, thank you very much for your
Salamat po.
time. I'd like to thank our viewers watching this program as well as those watching the replay. I'd like to thank Pastor Apollo Kiboy for making this program possible. This has been Business and Politics. I'm Dante Klinkang, and I will see you next week.